Hi, this is Paige DeSorbo from Giggly Squad. How would you like to look 5 years younger? In a clinical study, people that had volume added with Juvederm, Voluma XC, in the cheeks perceived themselves as looking 5 years younger at 6 months after treatment. Look younger, feel like you, add volume for lift and contour in the cheeks with Juvederm, Voluma XC, and reverse signs of aging by adding volume to smooth laugh lines with Juvederm Velour XC. For important safety information and to find a licensed specialist, visit Juvederm.com. That's JUVEDERM.com. Not for people with severe allergic reactions, allergies to lidocaine, or the proteins used in Juvederm. Common side effects include injection site, redness, swelling, pain, tenderness, firmness, lumps, bumps, bruising, discoloration, or itching. There's a risk of unintentional injection into a blood vessel, which can cause vision abnormalities, blindness, stroke, temporary scabs, or scarring. Talk to a licensed specialist to find out if it's right for you.
Thank you, Proactive, for sponsoring this portion of the podcast. Exciting news, Proactive has just launched their newest skincare innovation, Proactive Clean. Proactive Clean is a gentle skincare routine formulated to clear mild acne to occasional breakouts for sensitive skin.
This is so exciting for me. I am a Proactive user. I was all through my 20s and 30s. It's the only line that kept my skin clear. And if you're thinking to yourself, Jen doesn't have acne, I'm here to tell you it's because I was using the Proactive. I wish, though, that we had Proactive Clean when I was using it back in my 20s, because this line is great. It's formulated without parabens, phthalates, sulfates, cyclic silicones, and 100 plus other no-no ingredients that you don't want on your skin when you're trying to treat your acne. Proactive is America's #1 clear skin routine, and it's dermatologist developed and tested with clinically proven ingredients. They've helped more than 20 million people, including me, get on the clear skin journey. And I'm so excited for this new line. And then we have a code for you guys so you can get a discount.
Go to Proactive.com now and use the exclusive promo code MASCARA to get 20% off your first order. Again, get 20% off your first order when you use the code MASCARA. That's Proactive, Proactiv.com, and get 20% off your first order when you use the code MASCARA.
Proactive.com, and that code is MASCARA.
Hello, hello. It's Jessica.
It's Jen. You know who you clicked on. It's Fat Mascara, your beauty podcast. We're getting into the...
Yeah, it's a big one. It's a big one. Big replay.
We're getting into the dog days of summer. We're wrapping up our pseudo month away. Wasn't really, because we kind of were still working. But we do have some great replay interviews. And this one is a big one. Jess, when I was coming, I was like, okay, Garren, the hairstylist. I forgot until I re-listened to this episode to edit it and to put it into this format that he was the co-founder of R&Co. I completely forgot that.
Are you kidding? I mean, this is like a major, well, you know what? There's been so many milestones in Garren's career that how can I pick one? He had a line, and then the R&Co was like one of his other lines, but R&Co has been the big runaway success. But when I think of Garren...
Right, I think that, can I just interject? I think that's why, because to me, it just feels like its own line. I don't remember it being tied to one person. That television shampoo and conditioner, they probably sell gangbusters of that. That stuff is so good. It just feels like an institution now, R&Co. But it was fairly new when we interviewed him.
I think that was smart. I remember there was a dinner the launch dinner for R&Co, and it had all the founders together. But I do think that was a smart strategy to not make it about one hairstylist.
Yes. It was a collective.
Yes. This is not about R&Co.
We do talk about that, though.
We do. But there's too much to talk about with Garren because there's so many things. We could have a whole freaking mini 10-part podcast series. We could do a Netflix 4-part documentary, Harry and Meghan style. About
dude, he did
Garren's
Audrey
career.
Hepburn's hair. Garren did
Insane.
Audrey Hepburn's hair. He's done Oprah's hair. He's done Madonna's hair.
Oh, that is a killer relationship. Do yourself a favor. Google Garren Madonna, and you will see some of her most epic looks were his. Unbelievable, peak Madonna. I shouldn't say most because that's unfair to some of Madonna's other collaborators who also have been on our show, Orlando Pita. But there have been Orlando's looks are incredible too, but Garren and Orlando's looks are like incredible. And we had at Bazaar this like incredible honor of shooting with Garren. Garren's going to like shiv me next time he sees me, but he was 70 years old on set on a ladder doing hair. If this man is not an 2019. Icon, yes. Okay. On a ladder doing hair, wigs, pins. One of my favorite / like most traumatic, but favorite now in retrospect memories was like the morning of a shoot, like running out for hat pins so he can, Jen remembers.
I do, because you texted me like, where do I get hat pins? And I was like, I didn't even ask questions. I actually knew you were having a shoot that day. I was like, there's no time for questions. I was like, here's where to go. This was a beauty emergency, everyone.
It was a beauty emergency, but this is the kind of a beauty emergency that only Garren can make you run around like a chicken without a head looking for hat pins. But he is a true artist and a sculptor, and there are few, if any, like him out there right now. So Garren, I'm sorry. I've taken up all the time and air in the room. I think you're amazing. I think you are incredible. Here, take it away.
Welcome, Garren.
Welcome.
Hi, girls.
Hi. And all of our girls and guys listening. He's sitting there with his arms folded. Hi, girls. It's like,
and some guys, if you're actually listening.
Oh, we have a lot of male listeners.
Oh, good. They must know my husband, Tom Priano.
We know your husband, Tom Priano. I hope he's listening. So, okay, we have not enough time in this episode to really even tackle this question, but there's some people I have to ask it. How did you get your start?
Well, you're not going to believe this. I started at 13.
What do you mean?
I always was into fashion because my mother at the time in the 60s was always looking at Vogue and Harper's Bazaar. And I was in love with Harper's Bazaar and Vogue. And I was just like, oh my God, how do they change these people? You know, these women, the models, the actresses. Every month they got a different length. Their hair is either Sassoon or it's Kenneth or it's Alexandre de Paris. And I'd be like so obsessed with it. And my mother was prematurely gray. And she'd come back from the hairdresser and she looked like an old lady. But she was like 35 years old. And I would just say, sit down. And I would sit her down. I'd brush her hair out and I would tease it up into a big bouffant. And before you know it, she had all her girlfriends from the PTA asking her who did her hair. And she goes, you're not going to believe it. It's my son.
Wow.
And they go, Donald. And she goes, no. And they go, who? And they go, Garren. And she was like, they're like, you're kidding me.
Wait, how old was Donald? Like older?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like 20, like
no,
15,
my
15 20 years old,
so
older, you know.
Where did you grow up?
Niagara Falls.
Wow.
New York.
This is like
my
really
mother was
not where I
Canadian
picture,
and my
like...
father was American.
Okay.
So anyway, long story short, on Fridays and Saturdays, I'd be going with my little hand dryer. It was like a hood dryer. Mm-hmm. And I'd buy these little booklets in the grocery store that would show you a picture. And it would say Kenneth. And it would show you how to set it. And then it would show Vidal Sassoon and how you would do it. And so I would bring the book and I would study it. And I would go and cut all these girls' hair.
You were cutting
for
too.
$1.50.
Oh my gosh.
$1.50 haircut by Garren.
This is the
and
this
it
is
was
your
like
entry-level rate.
And I would tape their bangs down and do all these crazy things, and everything came out really great. And it's just that's how I started.
So you were, I would say, you're self-taught, but then once you moved to the city,
first of all, like back then, you had to go to the student counselor, like when you get to 10th grade, to
take the vocational test or whatever.
What are you going to be when you grow up, you know? And I was going, I want to be a hairdresser. Mm-hmm. And they were like, it was unacceptable. He just said, this is not acceptable.
Because you were a guy?
Because I was a guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, no, I want to do hair. And he's like, no, I have to call your father in. We're going to have a conversation.
This is,
And I was like, oh, shit. I was like, oh, no, what's going to happen now? They're going to change my course, my whole way of life and my way of thinking. And so they called me back down to the office. I'll make this quick. And my father comes in and he goes, what did he do?
Like you got
he
to
goes,
fight.
he doesn't do anything wrong. What does he do? And then he says, well, do you know what your son wants to do when he grows up? And my father goes, yeah. And my father was this big man, and he was, Italian, of course. And he says, yeah. So what do you think he wants to do? And he says he wants to be a hairdresser. And the counselor says, well, that's not acceptable. He's got to go to school. He's got to go to college. My father goes, he's going to school. He's going to hairdressing school.
I love your father for this.
And my father just stood there and he goes, you don't seem to understand. He's going to be great. What he does well. And the counselor says, I don't accept that. He's going to have to take, he's going to have to take some courses. He's going to have to go even community college, and I went home and I was like destroyed. I was like, I don't want to go to school. Yeah. I don't want to, I don't want to do this. I want to do what I want to do. My father says, I got you covered. I got your back. So that was just awesome. So heaven. I mean, It was like, where do you get that? Back then you listened to everything that anyone that had authority would tell you to do.
Times have definitely changed.
Oh, yeah. It's all in our pocket. It's all in the kids' pocket now.
I'm glad your dad stood up for you. Definitely. So, okay, then did you work in Niagara Falls as a hairstylist for a little while?
Yeah,
or?
I did. Did
you go to Buffalo? What'd you do?
But yeah, I started in Niagara Falls because I was still underage. Mm-hmm. So my brother owned a wig salon, and so I would go in there in the back and do some hair, and some wigs. And then I decided that I would enter some contests, like they used to have beauty hair contests. And I went and did that, and I won first prize. I met Chris John.
Oh, wow.
He was one of the judges. And I said, so how do I get out of here? How do I get out of Niagara Falls? He says, well, when you get to New York, here's my phone number. Give me a call. I'll introduce you to some people. So he introduced me to, I went to New York, of course, it was like flying out of there. I went to New York. He introduced me to these John and Suzanne Chadwick who worked for the Glenby Company. And they introduced me, Glenby Company, just so everyone would know it, they owned like 15 to 1,800 salons around the world, and they were all in department stores, and they were in hotels. So they were in Bergdorf's, they were in Henry Bendel at the time, and they were at Bloomingdale's and Macy's and all that. So I went and had a big meeting with the president, vice president of the company, and they says, well, you're going to have to start in Buffalo. We'll put you in a salon in Buffalo, you prove yourself, and then we'll move you to New York.
Oh, wow.
So I said, okay. So I went to this salon, this department store called Jen's, which was like the Bergdorf Goodman in Buffalo at the time. And I started working the salon. My clientele followed me, and I built I was really booked every 15 minutes. And at that point, I was charging $75.
That's pretty steep, right? Back then, don't you think?
Yeah, it was. I think the first year I did $35, and then I quickly bumped it up to $75.
And around what time is this?
This is in the 70s. This is in the early 70s.
$75 in the 70s in Buffalo? I think that's pretty hoity.
That was very, was very ballsy.
That's really ballsy.
But the thing is that I had so many clients, I had to weed them out. In other words,
it brought down demand.
I had to fill the other part of the salon.
Yeah.
Then they would start going to the other kids in the salon. So then I met Tom, my husband, and he's like, we can't stay here much longer. We got to get out of here. So in 1974, he said, let's go back to Glenby, and you're going to tell him you want to move to New York. So I went back to Glenby, and I said, it's time. I have to move to New York. And they said, well, where we're going to place you. So they sent me to 5 salons in New York, and they sent me to Kenneth, and they sent me to Bergdorf's, and they sent me to Henry Bendel, and they sent me to Bloomingdale's, and I was just like, oh, I guess I want either Kenneth or I want Bergdorf's. So I ended up at Bergdorf's because my prices were more than what Kenneth was charging.
Oh my God. Who are these Buffalo ladies that were like, could afford you?
They came from everywhere.
They'd fly in.
They would bring pictures, like pictures of what they used to look like when they were young.
And you
they'd say, could you copy this? And I was like, I think I could do better.
Like a destination hair salon in Buffalo.
Yeah.
This is like untold Garren files. I'm sorry. I did not read about this in Allure. I love you, Linda Wells, but I'd have never.
Linda couldn't fill it all in.
Yeah. That's so good. This is like the archives, deep Garren archives.
Well, you're going, I'm going back. So anyway, I get into Bergdorf's. They're remodeling it. And I'm like looking around, and then all of a sudden they bring in Suga. And this was a great hairdresser from the 70s and 60s, 70s, 80s. And they told me, they said, well, there's just one catch here. So it's going to be a Suga salon. So you're going to have to kind of lead the pack and kind of move somewhere else instead of in the center. They had me in the center, like I was featured, you know what I mean? So then I said, well, I'll go near the window.
Top billing.
I'll go near the window. I don't care as long as I have, I have a station that's not locked in a corner. And they said, because if you do it, everybody else will move, will get out of the way for all his people. So I did it. So one day, Suga couldn't do a photo shoot. And now I'm still working for Glenby. I am working on their creative team. So I was like one of their designers, And so then Suga says, well, I can't do this Vogue shoot. Would you do it? And I was like,
I see where this is going.
So I did Phyllis Posnick, because Glamour, I had been a Glamour hairdresser for like 3 years before that.
So you've been doing some editorial for Glamour?
For Glamour, the makeovers and Mademoiselle. They did all these makeover things. And I started doing their covers. And so I went in, and Phyllis remembered me from Glamour because she was the beauty editor of Glamour. Mm-hmm. So she's like, Garren, we're going to do Christy Brinkley, and we're going to do something very avant-garde. We want you to do crimping. So I brought my crimping iron.
We got this new thing, the crimper.
It was in the 70s. So I crimped her hair and did all these crazy things with it. And it became a hit. But not a hit. I mean, it just was like 4 beauty pages in Vogue was like a big deal for me, And before you know it, I'm in the offices with meeting Polly Mellon. And Phyllis is like, here's his book. It's all Glamour, but we have this one spread we did with Garren, and she was with Christy, and Polly just looked at it, and she just said, "My God, I never seen Christy look so different.
Wow.
She really looked cool for a change."
She was not all American.
A beauty. She was the all American beauty, and I worked with her a lot for Glamour. And that was in the days when the girls did their own makeup at Glamour, and they only brought in hairdressers.
Right.
So now we start at Vogue, and I'm then introduced. I'm called. I do one sitting with Deborah Turbeville and Jade Hobson, and it was a gold story with Jerry Hall, and it was with all the girls, all these big girls.
This is like in the late 70s, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was like they were in. It was all an accessory story. So you had Ted Muelling, and you had all this gold and everything. And Jerry, believe it or not, she knew how to take over the picture, which you can imagine.
Yeah.
So her hair would be to the left side, and all the girls would be on the right, on the opposite side of her. And as the picture was being taken, she'd flip her hair to cover the girls. And I was like, how could she do that? It was like... So
she
the girls
like kind of a hoot.
The girls realized what was going on, so they started moving around her so that they would
really
be in the
funny.
picture.
It's like a movie scene. I want to film
picturing
this
this
movie
too.
scene, like model cattiness.
And it was what it was. It came out it was beautiful. And I was just like, I couldn't believe I moved to New York, and within 6 months I'm doing all this work. And then
But was it that Vogue shoot that really put you on the map, that connection with Polly?
Well, the connection with Polly, because what happened was...
The stylist Polly.
Yeah, Polly Mellon. I mean, she was my mentor as far as with fashion.
Can I just point out also, this is, you said late 70s, you're doing your Vogue shoot. fast forward to 2018, you did a Vogue cover like with Priyanka, like 3 months ago?
Yes.
Your career is, what is that? I can't do math right now. 30
It's a lot of years.
And your memory is like, oh yeah, just the other day, me and Jerry Hall, like, Yeah, I am impressed with the longevity of your career. So there's so many big names that are in it too. So can I ask you about one of them?
Yeah.
I'm fast forwarding a teeny bit.
Go on.
Can we talk about Madonna a little bit?
Madonna. Well, do you want to know how that was amazing. I mean, I have to say, I would be going to the clubs, we were all back then. And there's this girl dancing I think it was at the Palladium or whatever. And she's throwing herself all over the ground and she's singing, I'm a virgin, and I'm like, God, she's very interesting, da, 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 da. And I had set my career that I had one name and I wanted to keep it that way. But I also had all these movie stars that were in my repertoire in my head, like Elizabeth Taylor and all Marilyn Monroe and all this and that. And one day, Tom and I were driving to our house in Pennsylvania. And I said, you know what I'm missing? And he goes, what? I go, I need a Marilyn Monroe. And honest to God, 3 weeks later, Stephen Meisel says, we're going to do Madonna. And I was like,
I'm going to make her Marilyn.
Come again? And he said, we're going to do Madonna. Yeah. And I want to do her like a Marilyn Monroe thing. And I was just like, yes. So we did the cover of Vanity Fair where she has on the Bob Mackie gown. And I did her hair kind of my version of Marilyn Monroe. And then in the inside, there was all these beautiful pages, where we copied her with, like very sheer. And before you know it, I was like just always doing Madonna with Steven. And then I became, we did the sex book. Mm-hmm. And we had so much fun on that because I turned her into Ursula Andrews. We did so many crazy things, but it was just so cool to change her within. I think we did the whole book in, I would say, a matter of a full month, but not all at the same time. Because we did it at different places. We did it in New York. We did it at Mineshaft. We did it at a sex club. We did it at the Gaiety. We went to Miami. We did it, in Golden Beach. And we just had so much fun. And then we started, I was basically did her hair for almost like, I would say, it would have been over 14 years. And then on and off, she would then do something else. And then it would be like, okay, I need Garren. So we're going to call him back, And so it's still, I'm still on her radar. You know what I mean? Like,
what is it like when celebrities like work with people a lot? Like, and they work with someone I'm not talking about you specifically. I'm talking about just in general. When someone has like their people for a little bit and then they go to other people, like, do they say, hey, I'm going to work with this person now? Like, what is that like?
Well, I think...
Is it formal? Is it unspoken?
For me, it was always unspoken and it wasn't a problem. It was because I was brought up in fashion, so it was like I was doing a different model all the time. Mm-hmm. And you have to, she did do other shoots with other photographers who had their teams. And I think that's the grooming that I had was that, you have your team that the photographer has and the editor has, and then you go on and you move on to someone else, and then you come back to that person. But but during the time of Madonna wasn't like I wasn't doing her hair every night or every day when she went somewhere. It was like, it was for a project or it was for something else.
I understand.
And also, I always I was brought up that I would keep my respectful distance, where nowadays people get right in, I have to say in bed with them, meaning they are demanded by the artist, and the artist really sucks the blood out of them.
We've seen that with, Jen and I, obviously, we talk to makeup artists and hairstylists all the time, but we notice some of them are very close to talent, especially if it's like a celebrity. And it does seem, I feel like I'm speaking for you, Jen. I don't mean to, but like I'm kind of amazed by the line that is eroded with some of them, and it's worrying. But some of them I do see, like yourself.
I always think, like, how do they pay them then? Like, are you paying me for this hair this time? Are you not paying me? Because is this a payday or just a friend day?
Or just the emotional labor of like being at their beck and call and like being with their kids, being on the plane 24/7, the Instagram, like I'm goofing around with them on the it doesn't feel really professional.
I never did that. That is how I drew the line.
Kept it professional.
I kept it really professional, and Madonna respected that, and she respected my point of view. Because you were seeing it through the lens of Stephen Meisel or Stephen Klein, or do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's like so.
You have the expertise. I'll listen to you.
It's like the thing that I have, and I'm very lucky, is like when, and I'm talking about big celebrities back in the day, when they would come to a shoot and they were put in my hands, they already respected my work.
Yeah,
my work
you're getting
ethic.
the Garren right now.
Work ethic.
Yeah.
And today, when you get new talent, and I'm not downing them, I just think they don't have, I think their handlers and all that do more harm to them than letting them experiment with new people.
Right.
And
They're in a bubble.
And it's like they're locked in this box and they always look the same. And they end up, the artist, meaning the hairdresser or the makeup artist, end up being attached to them. And there is no other challenge that they have. They just have the same routine that they're doing day in and day out.
High pony.
I couldn't
put the
do
extensions
that.
in the ends.
I mean, I just couldn't go there, you know. I mean, because my whole career has been a hairdresser in a salon, a hairdresser on a fashion shoot, hairdresser on a commercial, a hairdresser for product, for a designer. And it's like I know all of the aspects of creating a beautiful photograph and making someone look the best they can, and not try to make them like, oh, I want them to be photographed, you know, you know what I mean? Because I didn't grow up in that. I grew up in the era of Studio 54 where everybody was with everybody, and you had royalty next to you, you had celebrity next to you. You didn't have to go through this team of bodyguards and this team of publicists and all that, you know, and that's what I love about, you know, doing new people. But then when you hit this snag somewhere where you get a new actress that is somehow in her head thinks that, you know, you have to do what they like, I'm turned off. I mean, it's not that I want to do what I want to do, but I want to have a conversation.
I hear you.
I remember there was one time, there was this one artist that her husband wanted me to make her over, and she's a great singer, and so she made an appointment to come to the salon because Stephen Meisel was shooting her. And my salon was at Henry Bendel at the time, and I could see the Trump Tower, okay? So now she's late. She's making me wait, and I don't like to be waiting.
Uh-oh.
And
sorry
so
we were late tonight.
No, we were on time. He was
you're
I was a
early.
little
Uh-oh. Okay.
So anyway,
Uh-oh.
the story goes that she finally gets in the car and drives. She could have walked kitty corner. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
But she
totally.
gets in her limo with her posse, and I see this all playing out because I have a window.
Oh, you're like, are you kidding me?
No, I'm now laughing.
No, she did not.
Oh, she did. And so,
she did not.
Yes, she did. And so she gets to the salon, and they escort her to my station.
This is so embarrassing.
And all her crew is around her, and they're all talking. And I just looked at, I got in front of her and the station, and I looked at her, and I said, "You do speak, because I know you can sing."
Yeah.
I said, "So can we have a conversation? What you want?"
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
And I said, "You know something? I want you, all of you, to get out." I says, I will not take this any further unless you all leave and I have my conversation with her.
Yeah.
And she goes, "That would be great." And then she just, you know, at that point, it was like, "Well, I liked it." And then I says, "All right, we're making you over, man." So the whole idea of this is that we got to come to some agreement.
Yeah.
So we did. And we ended up, it was a great moment, and it was a great moment for her. But to this day, I just got called to do her for some Billboard awards. And I just looked at my agent. I said, "Are you kidding me?" Yeah. I said, "There's nothing I could do with her anymore." I said, because she's so stuck in this one look.
I'm dying to know.
And I just said, it's going to be just too much work and it's not worth it for me.
When you're getting married and planning a wedding, there's so many things to keep track of. It's a lot of fun, but it's also really overwhelming. But you know what can help with that? Our sponsor, Zola.
That's right. When you're getting married, it's not just about the big day. It's about all the days along the way. And Zola's here for all of them. I actually used Zola to help plan my wedding. And I remember the day Eric and I set up the website with all the little details to share with the guests and clicked publish. It was such a fun day. And then I used Zola, and they had this great part of their website building tool where you could give, I'll just call them gentle gift suggestions for your guests.
Very just gentle, tasteful suggestions.
You can do a registry, of course, but we created one of those cash funds for our honeymoon with pictures of where we wanted to go. Plus, Zola's also there on the days when you feel like, forget it, I don't even want to have a wedding. I remember I had that moment. It involved, there was like this huge family debate about the seating options at the wedding and whether they had backs or not. I kid you not, benches versus chairs, like almost derailed the whole wedding.
What did you eventually choose?
It's complicated. Let's talk about Zola, which is much easier because even on those days when things were, complicated, there's the Zola community. It's a free and judgment-free community of other engaged couples who know exactly what you're going through.
If you're getting married or planning to get married, or you're already married and you're just finally getting around to planning a celebration, start planning at Zola.com. That's Zola.com. All right, everyone, let's talk about Honey Love. Ladies, summer is the worst time to suffer with an uncomfortable bra. I think you know what I mean. Honey Love has revolutionized the bra game. I want you to upgrade from those traditional bras. They use uncomfortable underwire. You know what I mean? Those bulky fabrics that just trap the heat. You know what I mean? It's time to upgrade.
Oh, I upgraded. You know what's funny? I started wearing my Honey Love, I think back in May. That is the only bra I've been wanting to wear this whole summer. You know how usually when you get home, the first thing you want to do is like let the ladies out, undo the bra, then the wire's like all creased in there. Honey Love is not like that. It feels like the softest cami you've ever worn, yet you get support and you get shaping. It's too good. Plus they have all sorts of other shapewear that's really comfortable, makes you look great, but doesn't make you feel like a little sausage.
I know that feeling. I love that you're just wearing like your one Honey Love bra all summer.
I've washed it a couple times. Don't you worry. They wash really well too.
I wouldn't judge you if you didn't. I get it. When you find a bra you love, that's just what you want to wear all season. So I want you guys to treat yourself to the best shapewear on the market and save 20% off while you're at it. Go to honeylove.com/mascara and use our exclusive link to get that 20% off. honeylove.com/mascara. You're going to be cinched, you're going to be snatched, and you're going to be lifted. It is hot girl season thanks to Honey Love.
You are kind of known, though, for these transformations. And I think that's why people come to you, right?
Well,
so
yeah,
we wanted to ask you about that. You don't think?
I hope. Yeah.
You are the transformation guy.
That sounds good.
Well, didn't you do Linda Evangelista?
Why,
didn't you cut her into that bob?
I cut her in a bob. We made her blonde. We made her red. Yeah. We did all kinds of, we did the skater board haircut where we clipped up the back of her head. But that was a time that models weren't being dictated by big companies that they had to grow their hair, or they had to have long hair. And, you could, Chris McMenemy, you have all these girls and you could do anything you wanted to their hair and they still were able to work for companies, but it's very interesting nowadays. It's a flip, it's like you're at their mercy.
Yeah.
And, and it's like, I'm so lucky that I work with such great photographers that want to transform people. And now we have wigs and stuff like that. We can do it's like when Nicole Kidman sees me and we're working together and she's like, who am I going to be today? And it's so nice because you go like, what's the play? What are we doing?
Yeah,
You know,
like it's a character.
it's like I have this hair and I want to wear it like this. No, it doesn't. It's kind of not like that. And even working with like Kim Kardashian, she's like, so what are you going to do with me? You know, like
She lets you
she
make
lets
a
go.
yeah.
She, you know, and
she's not beholden to anyone. She holds all the cards. I think that's why.
And she does have her team, you know, and if she's got to fight for a team member, she'll fight for her makeup artist instead of her hairdresser. Mm-hmm. But it's weird, you know?
Yeah, the business has changed a lot. What about like a real woman though, like with the transformation thing? Like we're not celebrities. What if we want to have that kind of moment where we get a transformation and we have people see us and they're like, wow, and the way they do when they saw Madonna looking like Marilyn Monroe? Is it always hair, do you think?
No, it's got to be the whole deal.
Yeah.
That's one of my things is that I'm
intrigued.
I kind of dictate to them, if you're going to change your hair color or we're going to cut it this certain way, you have to own it. And by owning it, it means think about the way you're going to dress, think about what you're going to do, think about how your makeup's going to change. And I say, I'm not the know-it-all, but I do know that if you're going to go short and you're going to have to own it, it's not going to be a hat. And, you might wear a different type of trouser, or you might wear, like a man's shirt or just a simple, it's kind of pulling from all the historical moments of when women were, you kind of want them to be a little masculine, but also very sexy. And it's kind of like I have all that in my brain because of the time that I've done this and what I've followed in fashion. So it's like I automatically know if it's a center part or a side part because I want her to be a little dominant or a little dominatrix or something a little. And I also have had all these.
She's got to do the whole thing.
Well, it's just pick up on it and own it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Don't just like cut your hair and then
don't become
keep with your t-shirt and your dress.
Don't become platinum and still wear a little flowered dress.
Or get your bangs and then like go to office and everybody, do you like my bangs? Do you like my like own the bangs?
Own it. Own the
Yeah,
fringe.
yeah.
Because
I like
fringe can change your whole appearance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not about a little bit of fringe, I'll have a few bangs. I'm like, no way, man.
You got to go all in with bangs.
You're going there.
It's like commit to the look.
Commit to the look.
What
Become
is
this character.
Yes.
And have fun. You're a woman. You could do anything you want. And you don't have to answer to anyone but yourself.
You should do like ads.
Yeah.
I don't know. Or like
Doesn't he?
voiceover. I feel like you're very clear in your messaging, and it's just like you understand the world of hair and what it can do for the rest of your image and the way you feel.
No one's ever like cried in your chair though that you gave them this amazing look. You're like, own it, girl, and they look in the mirror and they like fall apart. Because we've all been there.
No,
right?
I have had one crazy that was in my chair that I cut her hair and I blew it out, and she's telling me she looked like Harpo Marx and Bozo. And I said, all right, Bozo had frizzy hair.
Like the clown?
Like the clown. I said, Bozo had frizzy hair. Your hair is brown and it's silky. And I says, I guess you just, and I think her whole MO was that she wanted a good haircut, but she didn't want to pay for it.
I was about to say, she wanted
So I told the
freebie.
desk, I said, comp her and tell her to forget.
And then she walked out, she was like, I love my hair.
Lose our number. You know what I mean?
That's
so
funny.
I've been around the block a few times.
Oh
I know exactly.
Don't mess with Garren.
I just know what's going
Can
on.
you see a crazy from like 10 miles away? Can you kind of sense?
Well, when you do your consultation, because I always consult.
Oh, what's a consultation like?
Well, it's like finding out what they do. What's your lifestyle? Do you have two lives? Do you have your daytime casual, and at night do you get done up, or are you expected to dress a certain way because of your husband's business or whatever? You know what I mean?
Your business
or her business, but you know what I'm saying? It's like
everybody was thinking it.
But the thing is that people don't stop and think what's happening after 5. And I can say this honestly that Tom, my husband, met this client, and it was through Farrah Fawcett, and Farrah and I were friends for for decades. And I took the Farrah out of Farrah. If you want to, I took the Farrah flip out of her and cut her hair into a bob and did her for Vogue and did it very sleek and very straight.
Love that.
And we worked through all these different looks that she had. But my husband met another friend of hers, and he went to her apartment, and she had a Mickey Mouse T-shirt on and a pair of tights. And she says, I want my hair cut. And she had this black, long hair. And Tom just went chopping at it and gave her a rock star haircut. Like not Rod Stewart, but like all shaggy and like really cool. And so then all of a sudden he gets a phone call and he says, well, my husband, I got a problem. I don't know what to do with my hair at night. And I'm like, so Tom explains to me, he goes, this person and that. I said, did you ask her who her husband is, And he says, no, I didn't want to go there. I was with Farrah and I was having fun. We were playing and, and I cut her hair off. And so I find out it's like one of the wealthiest families in New York. This is in the 70s, like late 70s. And every night is formal night and it is big time.
Like they dress for dinner.
Couture and
now she's got like the Joan Jett shag.
She's got the shag and it's not the time to have the shag. So I go over to the house and I'm talking to her and I said, and so well, tonight I have to go, we're having this big party, dinner, and I'm wearing Valentino. And I said, show me the dress. She shows me the dress. It's the one I just shot for couture. It's like fur around the neck, low in the back. And it's like a black, it's so gorgeous. You know what I mean? Really, really big time. And I'm like, Tom, you kind of like screwed this up, because she's got...
The head doesn't match the body.
It's not matching the dress. So what do you do? And I said, well, let's just blunt the bottom off a little bit. And then we'll blow it really sexy over your eye. And she had all this stuff up here. And so we faked it. We got it. We got her through it. You know what I mean?
I was thinking a little fancy hat, Garren.
No, it wasn't about
or
that.
A wig.
And it was like her husband said, oh, thank God you guys got it together.
God.
You got her together. And it was,
so funny.
we were laughing so hard. But then, then she ended up with a really severe short bob with a big wave over one eye. And so she was owning her look.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And during the day, she still was owning her look,
So you bring up an interesting point, which is, like nighttime hair, daytime hair. I read an article with you recently, and it was a little of an older article, but you said something that was really funny. You said, you always have lots of little funny quips. I don't know if you realize that.
I don't, but I do understand that I do have a wicked tongue sometimes.
But I think you're a truth teller, Garren. That's why I like you. You said, I think younger women feel if they put themselves together too much, they look too old-fashioned. And you said it's like how you learn to put makeup on. A lot of women learn to put makeup on. That they should learn how to do their hair. Now, as somebody who I know Jen knows that she's seen it firsthand, she was horrified. I don't know how to do my hair.
Do not put a hot tool in this woman's hand.
No, it's like it's
any kind.
No, I don't.
Even a blow dryer.
All right. Maybe even a blow dryer. For me, nighttime hair is basically I brush it or I get someone to professionally do it.
But what about your charity galas, Jess?
I would love to go to a charity gala.
I know, but I know what you're saying.
I would love my husband to take me out to all these fancy business events. I think that sounds fun.
It's not the life anymore.
Yeah.
That's not what's going on
that's
anymore.
That's your question, right?
Yeah. Do you think that things have changed, or do you think that women just kind of don't know how to is that a dying art? What happened?
Hairdressing,
I think we got into this, I've been through the grunge stage, we created that, with Mizell, and we
how many guests have we had that are like, well, when we created the grunge look, and he's not
lying.
lying.
But you actually work with
that's
Mizell.
what I'm saying.
Yeah, but it was with McMenemy and was with all those girls.
Did you do the hair on the Periella show? Was that you?
Not the show, but I did the
Vogue
shoot.
The famous Vogue shoot.
That's what I'm saying. He's not lying.
Yeah.
So it was like the makeup was raw. Everything was. That's what I'm saying. You can't wear grunge and have your hair blown out.
I'm going to call you the godfather of grunge now.
I was already called the godfather of hair. The last folks big story when I cut off Carly Kloss's hair.
Oh, wow. Oh, yes, that was you.
When I whacked it off.
God.
So
So you did the minimalism, you did the grunge.
So it's like what I find now is that when there is a big event and they call in people to do their hair and their makeup, one's got to sacrifice. You can't have both. You can't have full makeup and then big hair, big hair.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like sometimes there's these young models and some young actresses that go out and they're so overly made up and so overly done that you don't even recognize who they are.
Mm-hmm.
And they're so pretty just being themselves. Like what I mean by themselves, like less is more.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so they hire a team, or their group hires a team. They go in and they do the look, but they're not really knowing how. The hairdressers nowadays don't know how to do a look. They sort of like,
because the makeup is usually the look these days.
Well, it's kind of taking over because the hair is, it's with that curling wand with the straight end. They're doing that stupid, undone done look that looks like
you don't leave the ends out in a curling iron.
Ugh.
No beachy wave for Garren.
No, I go for a beachy wave.
But you like to finish
but I
the
want
end of the curl.
No, I want a beachy wave.
Okay.
I want it to be able to, the girl can run her hands through it.
Right. Not
I don't want.
We call it pageant curl.
I don't want it to be like it's so stuck there that you can't mess it up.
Yeah, pageant curls, pageant waves.
Wait, do that noise again?
Which one?
There were a lot of
It was
noises.
like you stepped on a mouse with your bare foot.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wait, what else is on your Garren no-no list?
Well, and also learn how to use product. Like being with R&Co, we have
Nice segue.
Three of
Literally, our
three of us.
next question was about R&Co.
We have Howard McLaren, who's known for his razor cuts and using lots of product because his background was Bumble and Bumble. And he uses product completely different than I do and Tom does. Tom is like a master of undone hair.
P.S.
But
These are the
done.
co-founders of R&Co.
Yeah,
for those
that's
of you
my
who don't know.
three of us.
It's not just like
you-
the Mojave Desert.
There's
Tom.
myself, Tom Priano, and Howard McLaren.
And Tom is your husband.
And Tom is my husband. And Tom worked a lot with Bruce Weber, and he did a lot of lifestyle work. He did all the Abercrombie and all that kind of stuff, which we wouldn't be allowed to
It's
do
like the Charlie's
nowadays.
Angels of hair. 3 different
nowadays.
styles.
Yeah.
So, Tom is like the men's groomer, and he's done so many famous people and so many
Should get
great
Tom on the
models.
show.
And he worked a lot with Calvin when Calvin was Calvin Klein, the real Calvin.
Mm-hmm.
And he did all those commercials with Christy and, all that kind of natural hair, but undone.
You have
which
very
now,
distinctive styles.
Very,
is what-
very simplistic, but very sexy and very touchable. And then you have Howard, who is like, he razor cuts the hair and he moves it around, uses a lot of product. It becomes sexy and kind of almost rocks. It's kind of a broken rock star, but it's not really because there's a thing about it that is touchable, and then there's me that I cover the gamut, but I'm more theatrical.
Yeah.
And
That's a great word to describe you, theatrical.
and why I'm saying that is because I really believe from working with magazines and working on real clients, you have to know how to finish hair and you have to know how to use the right tool or the right thing to accommodate them and make them feel, you're working with anybody, and you have to kind of make it happen. And, if you're working with one of the photographers, I worked with Penn for years, and I was, that Penn's light, I know that Penn's light was one big light. It was so strong that if I was doing wispy hair or hair that was sticking out and being like extraordinarily grand, I'd have to make it 3 times the size, and each spike would be 3 times the width because the light would blow it out to make it look like it was a wisp. Then you worked with Avedon, who wanted the girl to be luxurious and very sexy, but raw or whatever way you wanted to go. So you had to learn how to do the hair for that lighting. And then you had Stephen Meisel that we did a lot of characters and we did a lot. He trained models to be models, like Avedon did. I mean, Linda learned how to move every muscle in her face because Stephen we would play, and we had Francois. and now he works with Pat McGrath, but it would be like
just name dropping bars there in the mix.
Pull this muscle, find that muscle, pull this in.
Yeah.
And it would I would enjoy working and creating this because all I'd have to do is go up to Linda and touch her hair and then just go, boop, pull that in. And done.
Do you think there are photographers now who are treating models the same way and training models the same way?
Absolutely not. There's nobody being trained. Stephen Klein can train a model. He wants them to really imitate him basically, but he still loves a beautiful, odd, strange, or there's something very sexual about it. But working with the new group, first of all, they're intimidated when I'm booked, because I'm Garren. And so I have to break that barrier down. And like I'm used to having a conversation.
Like with younger photographers or models are you talking about?
Younger photographers.
Okay.
Because you have to break that barrier down because I'm so used to having a conversation. Like, what are we going to do today? How do you want her to look? It's not how I want her to look. I want to know, how do you want, are we doing a lot of makeup, no makeup? Are we doing wet hair?
Yeah.
What do you feel? And they really don't have a point of view. They just want you to get them ready and throw them out there, and then they're going to take pictures. I mean,
so they're intimidated by the talent.
Well, maybe, but they have their own crew. You know what I mean? They have their own group that they're comfortable with.
Yeah.
And that's the difference, So, I just, I'm just so vocal or so. My eye sees everything, because I was trained by Polly Mellon, and I was trained by these big photographers that I zero in on a collar or I zero in on what's not working, not what is working.
No, I saw you on set, and you really do. You clock everything. You're not just looking at the hair, and that's interesting. I think we do have a lot of hairstylists who listen to a lot of beauty professionals who do work on set or find themselves working with images, and I think people. Even I learned this from you just working on set with you. Like I tend to think like I'll stay in my lane. This is I focus on this, but you're looking at everything and you are not afraid to speak up. I know you're in a different position than I am, but it was really inspiring.
Not really, no, because I'm to respect what you're looking for.
Well, that's true, but I just mean like you're Garren. I'm like you've been doing this for decades longer than I have, but at the same time. You're very democratic and collaborative. Like we're all looking at this image together.
Right.
And I thought that was really cool. But is that someone's role as a hairstylist or makeup artist?
I think you have to tiptoe into that.
Read the room.
Yeah.
You got to read the room and you got to know how to say it. Mm-hmm. And I happen to have a big mouth. So it's like, when I work with Matt and Marcus and, they're genius when it comes to retouching, like digitaling the thing before the model walks or the actress walks to the monitor. You know what I mean? And it's like, I'm just like, whoa, you just put Amber's mouth on what's her name? And you just did this or that or whatever. And, it's like they respect my point, and I'm like, well, don't you think that I should flatten the hair a little bit on the left? It's a little too big, or either make it all bigger or take it down. Mm-hmm. And then you become part of that unit.
Collaboration.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think when you're talking about the shoot that we did, it was yin and yang. Mm-hmm. And the thing is that one was so grand and so ridiculous and so over the top. And my point at that moment was I didn't want to wear. I knew they wanted me to wear something that wasn't me. Mm-hmm. And I said, all right, I'm going to give in and do it. And then when I saw it on the monitor, I'm saying, no, it's not.
You could be flexible,
I'm too old to. No, I mean, I was honest. I looked at it and I said, it's distracting from the point of view.
Right. Yeah.
And I said, just trust me. Let me go back and put something else. And I said, because I'm not 20 years old. I'm not 30 years old. I'm at a certain level in my life that I have a certain look. and I went along with part of it, and we got an amazing picture. But the point is that I was distracting from what the picture was supposed to be about because I was kind of in a clown outfit.
Can I ask you? I'll let you two address that later. Before we let you go out, we started to talk about product and then we sort of stopped. But can we go back to R&Co for a second and just products in general? Like, what is in the Garren kit these days?
All my R&Co, everything.
Is it everything? Like, do you wish you've had this line for 20 years?
It's a whole different beat. It's a different beat for me. When I first did my own line, I wanted to simplify things and make it like I needed 7 products because I didn't want to drag this big kit around. Then when we did R&Co, it was like, we need something for this because everybody's using natural hair. Well, we have to make them look like textures, like natural hair, but you don't want it to look too greasy. You don't want it to look too this, too that, too over-dried. So we had to come up with different dry shampoos because Howard would like one, Tom would like another one, and I would like another one.
How many dry shampoos are there?
We have like 5.
So many.
Wow.
But it's all for specific things. It all does something different.
Yeah. So these lines that are really trying to simplify it, it's just
it's just that it becomes like a creative thing. It's like, how many hairsprays do you need?
Which one do you run out of first in your kit of all the R&Co products?
I would say Outer Space hairspray.
It's a hairspray. Okay.
And then the second thing I run out of would be Skyline.
What's that?
It's a dry shampoo, but it's a powder. And then the third thing that I would run out of would be Trophy and the oil tinsel. And then we have this new thing that we just launched last year, and it was called Glittering, which I absolutely love. You shake it, and it's gold.
Oh, it's actual glitter.
It's glitter. It's gold. It's gold. Comes out of the bottle, gold, and it makes the hair sparkle.
Oh, how much does this shit cost? Pure gold.
It's not pure gold, but it's just,
gold sparkle.
It's
little 12-year-old
really
Jess just got very excited.
I'm going crazy. Is this something like it's not for work, right? It's for more like
it's like
it's your after 5 charity gala hair.
If your hair feels dry and flat and kind of like dull, you just spritz a little of this on and the hair just starts to shine again.
It sounds like it's for work. Okay, cool.
It's clean. It's just there's so many cool. I fell in love with Waterfall. That's another one. That is adding moisture to the hair.
From any other brand that you
in
use
my kit?
It's a big enough line.
It's a big enough line, but I do have one Garren product that I keep
from your
my original line.
Are you still making the original Garren product?
No.
Your website's still live. You got to shut that down.
It's still live. No, we still sell what we have.
Oh, you do? Oh, okay.
I'm just not reproducing anything new.
Okay, got it. All right, so get it while it lasts, guys. Okay, can we ask you about some of your products that, like, the other products that R&Co doesn't make, like skincare, home fragrance, things like that? Because you have very refined taste. I want to know what's happening in your bathroom.
Tom and Garren's bathroom.
Yeah, what's happening?
Well, Tom has one shelf.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you're the maximalist.
And I have 4 shelves.
It sounds like my apartment.
What are on them?
Tom he's a vegan.
Okay.
And so everything he has is all natural, which is, he uses 4 things. Okay.
Is R&Co vegan?
Yes, totally vegan.
Okay.
And
obviously, yeah, if he's Thomas part of the line.
And then you have Garren, and that's 4 lines. And it's like my night creams and my day creams and my, Analik. I have Dr. Analik. He's keeping me looking the same since Fred passed away. And that's Dr. Fred Brandt. He was my best friend. And Dr.
What's
Analik.
your day cream and night cream?
Well, it's a combo platter. Like, I'm a Sicily freak, and I'm also still using some of Dr. Brandt's products. But Sicilia, not Sicily, Sicilia.
Is this that Black Rose mask business that you love? That's
Sicily. No, it's like the white line.
It's the white line that just came out, and I've been using Sicilia for
expensive taste, Garren.
Yeah, but I only have one face. I have no hair. I can't do anything with my hair, so I have to splurge somewhere.
Yeah.
You're saving on hair.
And I'll tell you a little cute story. Tom was shopping with me, and I bought some Sicilia, and he looked at the bill, and he goes, "That's not right." And I'm like, "Yeah." So he goes, "Well, I want a bracelet every time you buy Sicilia." I go, what are you talking about? He goes, I want a Chrome Hearts bracelet or I want an Hermes bracelet. So every time, he's now stacked. His whole arm is stacked.
One for him, one for me. One for you, one for me.
And I was like, it makes sense. Okay, if I'm spending $2,000 on products, he can get a $2,000 bracelet. But those days are gone where he's getting the bracelets because he can't hold his arms up anymore. But
your face still looks good, Garren.
Well, that's because Dr. Robert Analik and Cecilia and Dr. Brandt's products have been holding it together.
Well, you look
and
good.
I have a routine, and I try.
It's working. Yep. Garren, you're great. This is great. Thank you so much.
We had fun.
We hope you enjoyed the show.
It's your reviews and feedback that help us make the podcast even better. Head over to iTunes to rate and review us, or email your thoughts to info@fatmascara.com.
We also want to answer your beauty questions and hear what products you love. To share a Razor One product review or to ask a beauty question, email us at info@fatmascara.
If you send it as a voice memo file, we can even share your voice on the podcast. You can also do that by leaving us a voice message. Our phone number in the United States is 646-481-8182.
Thanks so much for listening.
When you're getting married and planning a wedding, there's so many things to keep track of. It's a lot of fun, but it's also really overwhelming. But you know what can help with that? Our sponsor, Zola.
That's right. When you're getting married, it's not just about the big day. It's about all the days along the way. And Zola's here for all of them. I actually used Zola to help plan my wedding. And I remember the day Eric and I set up the website with all the little details to share with the guests and clicked publish. It was such a fun day. And then I used Zola, and they had this great part of their website building tool where you could give, I'll just call them gentle gift suggestions for your guests.
Very just gentle, tasteful suggestions.
You can do a registry, of course, but we created one of those cash funds for our honeymoon with pictures of where we wanted to go. Plus, Zola's also there on the days when you feel like, forget it, I don't even want to have a wedding. I remember I had that moment. It involved, there was like this huge family debate about the seating options at the wedding and whether they had backs or not. I kid you not, benches versus chairs, like almost derailed the whole wedding.
What did you eventually choose?
It's complicated. Let's talk about Zola, which is much easier because even on those days when things were, complicated, there's the Zola community. It's a free and judgment-free community of other engaged couples who know exactly what you're going through.
If you're getting married or planning to get married, or you're already married and you're just finally getting around to planning a celebration, start planning at Zola.com. That's Zola.com.